I now know if I go to any event, I first just, touch base with my scriptures. I found my friends asking me all the time to host family prayers, memorial services. And I was thinking, my goodness, who am I?
Kholeka Lwana, welcome to PENNYONN. So where did you grow up?
Grew up, so I started in a village called Joburg, in the rural Eastern Cape, in the Pondoland region.
What is distinct about the Pondo people?
Quite funny. When I was growing up, my dad used to want to inculcate this thing in us so that we have a sense of pride about our Mbondoness. And as a child, I used to cry, "No Mbondo," because I thought it was a swear word.
So I'm from a clan of Mapulana, ne?
Yes.
So we are grouped with the Pedi people as well. So I can relate to what you say.
Yeah.
So, because most Mapulana people say, "Hey, arma Pedi rina." But because of how the cultural clustering, from the apartheid system, they because we are cousins, like the Pedi people, we just got grouped. We also have our own chiefs, we have our own king, we have our own kingdom as Mapulana. So we're situated in Bushbuck Ridge. We were invaded by the Germans in Pilgrim's Rest, Leidenberg. That was our land, Graskop. All the fancy places where you guys go. Kruger National Park. That's like my people's land. But we've constantly been moved. Mohulu Mountains, Mariskop, all of those places. And then we settled in Bushbuck Ridge. Small area. We like mountainous places because during the wars we could hide and fight and roll stones to attack, the enemy when the enemy was attacking us. So I can definitely relate being, but at school I studied Isipedi. So you did Xhosa because there's no, there's no Bondo subject in school, but there's Xhosa.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but at home, the cultural.
It's a spoken language.
A spoken language. So we have our own language. It's Pulana. Rabla Pulana, ra peta peta, ra makelele. And I learned recently that, actually Mapulana people who were involved in the struggle, political prisoners, when they were arrested, they would send them to the Eastern Cape.
Really?
Yes. Dr. Matthew Porter told me that. I was like, what? Because he grew up there. He was the first premier.
Is that on his book?
Yeah, it's in his book. And it's in his book, but he also talks about growing up in Mpumalanga, Bushbuck Ridge. Him, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi also grew up there because his mom was a matron.
So you also have leaders.
I mean, I have lots. Definitely Mashile Nkosi, Royal Khoza. So with us, there's Tsonga people.
Yes.
And then there's Mapulana. There, and then when you move up to Nelspruit, White River, the Swati people. So I grew up with cousins who are Tsonga, in Kazamkulu, which was your Transkei and Ciskei.
Yes.
So I grew up
Homeland.
With a homeland, and then at school we did Sepedi, and at home we spoke Spulana, which fell under Leboa, my homeland. So I was exposed to both homeland. And then when Leboa home was the capital city. It's where today is Polokwane, Seshego, Leboa home. So those were our homelands. And then Venda people, further down if you go, and then Giyani as well, Hoedspruit, Tsanin, Phalaborwa.
Yes.
That's like part of my people. So when people say to me, "Are you from Limpopo, Mpumalanga?" I always tell them that's a silly question. Is the hair on my head? Or is my nail on my finger? It's the same thing to me. There's no,
of course.
Yeah, so it's the same thing. So that's how our heritage is rooted. I love that. I love having these chats with you about it. So let's talk about ICT. How did you get into it?
So,
because you were in marketing, right?
Yes, I was in marketing for the longest time. I mean, my last, tenure was, I was the head of marketing for a listed company, which has actually now been sold to, is now part of the Nedbank Group.
Okay.
The company used to be called Equestria Fleet Management, and I was heading up marketing and government relations. And I remember being included in a team or a forum that was going to start, or rather look at re-engineering or reconfiguring how we were running the fleet business. We were going in today's age, it would have been we're going AI. we wanted to change the spectrum of the fleet industry in South Africa and lead. And so we worked with teams from all over the world. And so I think that's what sparked the interest in me. And even when we were doing our digital conversations, when you're a marketer, you will set up intranets for your internal staff. You will do websites, setting up of intranets as well, microsites as well. So it was during that time that I really started getting interested or curious about the development, the developers, because you spend a lot of time behind closed doors talking to developers, developing schemes of what this intranet or microsite will look like. And so when I left, the corporate world and I joined business, I started by registering Lwana Consulting, which is a marketing communications business. We do promotions for companies through that entity. And as I was working, we then also set up a foundation or an NPO called the Do Good Circle, which does training, skills development in rural communities. And during that time, we were doing a lot of stuff actually with the Mandela Foundation, the Soul City Institute.
Oh,
yeah, I remember there was that time,
yes,
the Soul City Institute,
yeah.
the Sonke Agenda,
Yes. Yeah.
So during that time, we started getting close to issues like GBV. We worked closely with the Department of Community Safety in Gauteng, assisting them, with doing their comms. Say the department wants to run a campaign for women around Gauteng around safety conversations, they would call on us as the Do Good Circle to facilitate that conversation for them. So as we were working with women, we realized that one of the issues was skills around tech. Yeah. People were not even trained to use their gadgets.
Do you remember the first time when you did like a computer literacy course? Like there was a class at the Carlton Center where we did MS-DOS. So you learned what STRL stands for. When computers were coming into the country, this is the late 90s. Yeah, yes. I think late 90s after matric. So one of the things that you had to do after matric was to go and learn how to use a computer. Like I look at the kids now, like just carrying on like it's not a thing. We had to go for a class.
Like they were grown into it.
Yeah, we had to learn
they were
how
born
the
into
keyboard works, and then I'd attend these classes, a few sessions to learn how to use a computer.
Yeah. I remember, I think I was at Wits Tech, which is now called the UJ.
Yeah, it's now UJ.
So I also did my desktop training there.
Yes.
It was part of a compulsory course for what I was studying.
Yeah.
So I remember Control Alt Delete.
Yes,
in
Control
class,
Alt Delete. Yeah, that's what.
and that's what they say on Twitter when they want to cancel people.
Yeah, they're like Control Alt Delete. Yes, we actually had to go for classes to learn that.
Yeah.
So you have a tribe. You have your sisters.
Yeah.
So I tell everyone, I always go like, I don't have envy. It's not a thing that I have. The only envy I have is people who have sisters in industry, like the Mazwai sisters. I'm like, I wish I had a sister too.
I know, when they're all creatives.
Yeah, them daughter sisters.
Yes.
The Manaka sisters.
Yes.
The Lwana sisters. So I just go, oh, my sister had no interest in coming into the media. Like when I meet people who are like in the space with sisters, I'm just like, oh man. And then therefore my friends become sort of like my sisters.
Of course, we all do that.
Yeah, so my friends are like all my sisters. I have my own little group of sisters. But what it's like to be moving in spaces with your sisters?
It's funny how everybody always refers to this as something that is part of my identity because I don't see it, I don't feel it because it's what I was born into. I was the first of 4 girls for the longest time, and then later on in life, my mom also had the last born, which was born much later on.
Is it a brother?
In the 90s.
Yeah. Is that a brother? Or another sister?
Another sister.
Wow.
So now there's 5 of us.
5 of you guys.
Yes.
Wow.
And, coming into Joburg, when I was a student, meeting friends, I would always bring my tribe. to them. I never thought about how much of an imposition it must have been, throughout my walk of life. Because when I come, I don't come alone. I come with the tribe, right? It's just an easy thing for me to do because I was the first one to arrive into the family, and then my second sister Tobeka came after me. Then Sobukeka came after me. Then Tobeka, then Bongeka, then Peleka, Sam. So I'm just so used to being the first, and I'm so used to carrying everyone along. Because when you are the first one to step into something, you show the way to everyone and you call the next one to come and join. So for me, that's just how it is. I don't even know how to think for myself.
Yeah.
I have to remind myself that I'm also a single entity.
Yeah.
Kholeka is a single entity. You dare not forget her as well because she's just as important.
But I mean, I think that comes on later on in life. I'm also a
Much
firstborn.
later on in
life.
I'm
a firstborn. I think the whole thing of like, I think in my mid-30s, I kind of was just like, whoa. Also when I had my kids, I was like, wait a minute, now everything must move. But I still find myself being the one, who's looking after everyone, who's a deputy parent, who is organizing everyone, who's pulling everyone together. I mean, do you feel like it was like that? Are you like a deputy parent?
I feel like that, but it's funny. I think it's unsolicited parenting.
Yes.
No one expects it. No one even thinks they need it.
Yeah.
But you do it out of necessity, because you're the first daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking the other day about the first daughter's manifesto. It's just what we were born into. It's what we do. And even when I have deep conversations with my elderly mom, she would say to me, "You are like my husband. You one day when I leave or check out of this earthly realm, you will remain, as my standby.
Yeah.
That's your role, whether you like it or not." So sometimes I say, why do I feel like I'm left out? The youngsters are doing their own thing. And sometimes they forget to pull me along. Yet I'm the one who's often embracive of everyone. Come.
Yeah.
And she says, no, but you must remember, you're like me. Your position is different. It will always be that way.
Yeah.
Fortunately, because of how we raised you with your dad, you guys will always be together. But you must understand that there's also that distinction that you'll always be the mom, so to speak. A few days ago, incidentally, my 7-year-old niece made us line up against the wall, gave me a piece of paper, and she said, "Read. You are the eldest. I'm the oldest, and I'm the one who tells everybody what to do. I'm the deputy parent. You should have heard these laughs." And then she gave the middle ones, Bongeka, Sembukeka, read as well. And as they were reading, they were like, with the middle ones, we get hand-me-downs. Nobody really considers our feelings. Oh, anyway, we break the rules anyway. And then she gave Nia, the last born, to read. I'm the last born. And when I came into my family, all my sisters became irrelevant. I get everything I want. What I say, is law. And it's funny that it was the 7-year-old that was making us do this exercise. I mean, how observant of her.
The 7-year-old. So is the 7-year-old like a firstborn as well?
She's a firstborn. She's my younger sister's daughter.
So she's already operating in her position.
Yes, she's in her position.
She's already in.
Me and her are the prayer warriors in the family, so we're very close. We've got a very special bond.
Wow.
Very feisty.
They're very feisty.
She will say, "Come, let me pray for you."
I also have a niece, Bonola. She's 19. She's training to be a nurse. She's also a little feisty one. She's literally they
like become our mirrors.
They literally are. Like the dad says, Okay, so the firstborn manifesto. You know what? I like to observe like a lot of things, especially conversations in media, in publications and writing. There's a big conversation globally about firstborns, daughters, healing themselves. Yes. Firstborn daughters, talking about, what did you call it? The responsibility that unsolicited responsibility, and then how they have to learn to put themselves first, and firstborn daughters, their relationship with their dads, and knowing, the experiencing the family's joys and lows, and sometimes having to cover, for your parents. Like, for example, I had to help my parents pay their bond. I had to help my parents put my siblings through school. I had to build stop nonsense, Jura walls, gamazines, room dividers, new fridges, washing machines.
Yeah.
I have had to be the one to collect siblings at places that my parents couldn't show up there and things like that. And at some point, you kind of like also had to re-raise your parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, isn't that what we're doing now?
Because some of them, my mom had me at like 18. You literally just sometimes go, I'm dealing with another teenager here.
Yeah.
But this teenager is 67 years old.
Interesting.
Yeah. So do you follow those conversations? It's part of like the First Daughters Manifesto. Is that the conversations you're talking about?
Yeah, it's just been playing through my mind for the past couple of years now. When you are born as the first one, you don't have another point of reference except you learn from your mom and your father. They teach you the way, you follow the traditions or the culture of your family, the church where you were raised. But you don't have somebody to, bounce off certain things with. So you learn to trust yourself. You learn to create your own community of other sisters from outside. So that's what I've had to do. But what I find was missing for the longest time was the acceptance that there's a need to also nurture Kholeka and what she needs. There's also a need to look at her feelings. I have shelved them, on the side for so long because as long as the people next
around
to me
are fine,
I'm fine.
Yeah.
But I actually don't think that is 100% true because we must also be fine because you can't pour from an empty cup.
True.
So what I do to fill my cup really most of the time is through the content that I listen to, which is mostly deeply spiritual, because man is a spirit and life is spiritual. So what I do most of the time to feed Kholeka or to help Kholeka to navigate life as the first daughter is to put in information that will inspire me, encourage me all the time. This thing of not looking after yourself as the firstborn and looking after the next person is not something anybody has ever asked for. None of my sisters have ever asked me to look after them. Actually, they can fend for themselves. They are probably even stronger than I am. They're even more bolder and courageous. So they don't need it, but I do it because it's just what I was born into, what I was born with.
Would you say you go into the world like that? Because I go into the world like that. I go into the world as a firstborn. Like in the entertainment industry, I'm big sis Penny. Like I'm like the one. Anyone that I need technically becomes my little sister. Sometimes to my own detriment.
You mother everyone without
you mother everyone without even. And it's very also difficult, like in relationships, because you just like, dating a lastborn is like the worst thing to happen to a firstborn. Cause you're just like, when you don't know the basics of being an adult. I was like a little adult at 22.
Yeah, I can imagine. Also raising, how many kids did you raise?
I'm raising, mine are two. There's two of mine. And then obviously my siblings that are younger than me. I mean, I lived with my brother, when we lived in Bushbuckridge, with my grandparents and uncles and cousins. And I was sort of like helping looking after him. Then we moved to come live with my parents, a bit later on in Katlehong. We were going to the same school. Then my sister, was born. And then, I would, go with them to school. Sometimes when we moved to Soweto by train, sometimes my mom would come with us. And then when she stopped coming with us, if they don't drop us by car with my uncle, I would have to you get a train from Kliptown, you have to change in New Canada, cross over to the other side to take Jigeleza. That goes all the way to Katlehong. And then the other sibling is stuck on the other side of the platform. And you're like, the train is going. And then you must go back and fetch them. And then run and catch the bus at Faraday.
Yeah.
If we're using the bus. So I go into the world like that.
That's what you do. I just remember once, I'll just cite one incident. Tobeka is going for an operation.
Yeah.
And I go out of my way to look for the doctor that's going to be working on her, to tell her, listen, I come from a family that clots. My father died actually as a result of blood clotting after a surgery. And I also clotted when I did surgery. And so I thought I should let you know. And this guy was so happy that I advised him, this information. And I can tell you that Thobeka didn't even think there was a need. For me to go out of my way.
Yeah, and that's a life and death situation. Yeah, it's a life and death situation.
So it's just being able to have this umbrella approach and look at everybody. How is this one doing? Is she okay? And just being able to not be selfish, because in order to be able to be a good first daughter, you have to not be a selfish person. You have to be selfless. You have to die to self and always consider someone else's feelings, needs.
I need a password there, actually. Sorry, because now this is just how it is. I don't know why the password or the Wi-Fi is not there. I need it on that phone. It's IT. I'm talking, but I'm talking as well, because I need to keep going there.
So the young one,
let them the young one must sort out
AI.
Yeah,
you were born into it.
He's got the password there for me. So I was born into it. So ICT, man, I used to say that if there was ICT when I was in high school in Soweto, I would have studied ICT, because radio is ICT.
Radio is ICT.
Yeah, radio is ICT.
And that's been your world.
Yeah, television is ICT.
Technically, you are a tech girl.
Yeah, I'm in tech. Yeah,
that's what I like about tech, is that it's so open, it's so vast, and it's a free for all. Anybody can enter technology. Depending on how you want to operate, how to want to come in and play. I call myself a tech girl, but I didn't study technology. I'm a facilitator. I work with senior engineers. I work with developers, people who have actually studied technology. Mine is to just, connect the dots, bring them closer to the people, help them to configure solutions so that we can take them back to communities. So that's what I like about it. And technology is the future. I mean, look at the richest men in the world. Men and women. They're mostly tech giants. Tech giants.
Yeah. Okay. So back to family stuff. You spoke about your dad as passing. So let's talk about so we're in June. June is Father's Month. We just celebrated Father's Day.
Yes.
Are you like Daddy's? Were you like Daddy's girl?
Oh, certainly. I'm a softie.
Yeah.
I'm a true, probably spoiled brat.
Yeah.
He really spoiled us. He treated us like eggs.
Yeah.
His little princesses. I can imagine how it feels to be a Mbondo man, to not have a son in the house, and all you have, are these daughters. So I think he was a soft guy, and he learned to love us girls, for us to understand, because culture probably was very judgmental towards him. You don't even have a son to carry your name. So what are you going to do with all these girls? And I actually remember him sitting with friends saying, I love my girls. They are they are God given, and they are a blessing.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that are quite important to me is to keep his legacy alive, because that's the least I could do.
The Lwana sisters.
I actually never asked for this term. I remember a friend of ours saying it again, and I was like, stop that, because it makes me feel or sound like we're arrogant or we are putting ourselves in a pedestal.
But you are the Lwana sisters.
You know what? That's exactly what he said.
Sisters.
He said, you are the Lwanas.
You are the Lwana sisters.
You are the Lwanas. And he affirmed me. I don't know if he even remembers it. It was a guy called Siabesho, who is one of my sister's friends from Mthatha. He said, but you are the Lwanas. But what I like about that, the 7-year-old does talk about the Lwanas.
Yes.
And some of the ladies feel a bit uncomfortable, like, oh my goodness, this child.
Yeah.
And I say to them, leave her.
Yeah.
It's good that she's affirmed at such a self-actualized and affirmed at such a tender age.
Yeah.
She must know
very
that
important.
she's a Lwana.
No. It's very, very important to know your heritage like that. I mean, I am a Libyane, which is a tiny little surname in Bushbuckridge, where I come from. My mother comes from the Mashechos, which are very important.
It's a big family.
Yeah, they're a big family. Them, the Mashechos, the Mashiles, the Maleles, the Shilwanis, the Mashiles. They're cousins. They're like, they're chiefs.
So the
they're
Mashegos are
royals.
quite feisty.
They're quite feisty. So I say my feistiness comes from my mother's side, but my gentleness comes from my dad's side. There's some people who don't believe I have a gentle side. I am very gentle. Because if I was operating as a Mashego, there will be war all the time. Yeah. I'm like Mpondo. You know,
Yes.
One of the reasons I get along with my friend Gandhi and a lot of my friends, a lot of my Xhosa friends, they're like, are you sure you're not from the Eastern Cape? I'm like, Sanagaloku. I mean, anything is possible. But, you know, if it's not them, it's the Swazis. They also say that, are you sure you're not from Swaziland? I'm like, my grandmother is Swati. But, you know, she's more on the gentle side as well. But the feistiness, I know, Shem.
So my feistiness also comes from...
They don't know the password. Bring back my phone. I'll use my data. I'll use Lokshin... What's your
Wi-Fi.
I use Lokshin Wi-Fi. I'll use Lokshin Wi-Fi. We'll talk about that just now. Okay.
So one of my qualities... and I want to talk about the hot side, the hot-headed side. My grandmother was Magdalene Blake, and she was born in Namibia. Ooh. And so I remember one day my dad, I think he was actually affirming himself in his adulthood. And he kept on saying, Mama was colored. My mom was colored. Mama was colored. Yeah. And I was actually just watching him like, why do you have to say this to us today? But I can imagine being a village boy, he must have been teased, you know? And so now he's affirming himself in his late 40s as a man, talking to us that you guys must remember that your grandmother was a colored woman from Namibia and her name was Magdalene Blake.
So you're a mixed heritage. So you can go now. Namibia's got a female president. You can go now then and claim a stake.
And you know, and there's no crime and all of that. I'm watching them.
They're so chilled there.
They're so chilled. In fact, I've been saying I want to go look for my people.
No, you must go look for your people. And you must. I mean, I'm sure if I trace my grandfather's heritage on my mother's side, I'll end up in Germany or Dutchland or somewhere. Because there by Pilgrim's Rest, they did the deed, man. They took charge. They invaded our people. We also have like,
and then you've got
colored
mixed,
people.
yes.
From my mom's side. Okay, so let's talk about Lokshin Wi-Fi. Yeah. You guys take Wi-Fi to communities.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So again, coming from rural Eastern Cape, you go home, suddenly your phone doesn't work. There's no connectivity. Somebody needs to be rushed to the hospital.
Especially if it's Apple. Because Android, maybe you can survive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all those issues. In fact, we still have some villages that are actually still in complete darkness. You know, villages that don't even have telephone lines. Yeah. It's just that bad. Yeah. So for us, it's something we live every time we go home because we're very close to our roots. I mean, on Friday, I drove to the Eastern, actually flew to Durban and drove to the Eastern Cape and came back the next day. I was attending.
So how many hours is this from Durban to your village?
It's about... so I went to Mount Frere this time, so it was about 4 hours.
Who's from Mount Frere?
Mount Aleph is a small town next to Ndabankulu, where I come from. They were hosting an event there, so I was going to support some young people. Remember, it's Youth Month, June 16. Yeah. So I just wanted to show up for the youth in our community that's doing amazing things.
Because KZN borders Eastern Cape. You know, as well as it borders Lesotho and some parts of it, and borders the Free State. Yes. So one of the things that I was talking about in my previous episode is how connected we are. Like even in a city like Johannesburg, you know where you find different cultures. Yes. Obviously, I was talking in the context of like Africa, where you find Congolese, where you'll find Nigerians, where you'll find Somalis, you know, where you'll find Zimbabweans. It's important to know that. So as well, even like, so parts of KZN, they border, there's people from KZN who speak Sotho because they're on the border with Matatiele, where Sotho people come from. And then you'll be shocked to find Sotho people who speak Zulu. And then in some parts of the Eastern Cape as well, vice versa. Yeah. So where I come from in Bushbuck Ridge is also like that, where there's a multicultural, you know, we border Swaziland, we border Mozambique as well.
So we border, Ndabankulu is next to Coxted, so we are in the border of KZN. So there we speak Isimpondo in Ndabankulu, and then just the next town, small town, along the N2, which is Mount Alif. They speak is Ngamaxesibe, but they speak Xhosa though. Okay. And then in Mount Frere, they speak what is this? Mapata. You know, then you move towards Umtata. That side they speak Ngamatembu. So and then on the other side, Kofimvaba, you've got Amamfengu. So we've got all these different dialects. You know, and so the other side borders PE, East London. You know, that side, that small Xhosa, Batembu, Amamfengu, and then more on our side, Ngamampondo, Maxesibe, and the Mpondos are throughout the eastern, you know, region of the Transkei, which is close to.
So I went to Umtata with a community church choir when I was like 14 or 15.
Okay, I'm happy you went to Umtata then.
I used to sing in a community choir, and we went by bus to Butterworth to go sing there. And obviously later I went when I was at Metro FM to like Border Tech. You know, and so some of my. So
that was in East London.
In East London, yes, and then obviously PE a bit later on. Actually, the only Metro FM awards I ever hosted was in PE.
Really? So I was raised in Umtata. We had such a beautiful upbringing there. Our father obviously was a police officer, and they had created a community that was called Police Camp, where all the police families, or rather the police officers lived with their families. A very
Are they called like barracks or no?
So barracks is where the recruits actually did their training, which was also just in their same environment. Okay. So there was a training college next door. Okay. So you would hear them at 4 a.m. when they wake them up, and you know, and then we would go and watch their pass out parades when they graduate. You know, or if they have any official events, because everything was happening within that community. So yeah, I was raised in Umtata. Beautiful, beautiful upbringing. The people that we were raised with are still people that were close. We consider them to be family. I mean, the people that used to drive my father when he was a police commissioner at the time have become like cousins to us.
So your dad was a police commissioner. Is that like the highest?
Yes. So he was the last police commissioner of the then Transkei. So if you were to consider the 1994 inauguration of Nelson Mandela, so he would have been the full general that was sitting in Transkei. Because remember, now they were bringing together all the homelands, emerging South Africa. So even if you watch the inauguration of Nelson Mandela, you would see General Lwana standing behind Madiba, one of my most epic and proud moments.
Oh my gosh.
You know, seeing him there. So there were two full generals in South Africa at the time. I think it was George Fivers and him. So I think Tatu Madiba and his cabinet, then they elected George Fivers to be the national commissioner.
You know, come to think that a lot of black people were not even getting to those levels. And now we've got Commissioner Mkhwanazi in KZN.
Yes.
You know,
he makes me think of my dad so much. I like his style of policing, old school.
Very firm.
Very disciplined. My dad was so disciplined, Penny would be driving with him, and then if he sees he's approaching a roadblock, you will see the man starts to sweat looking for his license. And as a child, you watch the interaction. Why is this man sweating? Because he's the commissioner of police. And then when he sees them, it's like, oh, he's got a relief, gentleman. Are you okay? Here's my license. And then they see it's him, and then they salute him. And then he's like, no, gentlemen, it's okay. If anything, he's looking to give them cold drink just to say, go and have Coke or water. He was just that kind of a guy.
A law-abiding citizen, even in a place of power.
And he actually lectured political studies at the University of Transkei as well. And he had studied police science. So for him, I saw the science of policing through how he lived his life, how he wouldn't take bribes, how he would be quick to, discipline somebody that was trying to, corrupt. He wouldn't. And
law-abiding.
I mean,
when you think about
police, so boring. I used to think he's so boring. Oprah used to come and visit, Madiba, and they used to have that party on the 1st of December for kids, because remember, it's World AIDS Day. And I'd say to him, please take me to Madiba's house because you can. And he'd be like, no, I'm not, people are under protocol. I'm not on duty. He wouldn't break rank. He wouldn't break protocol.
Listen to the children of the parents who are influential, using the power of their parents to have access to things.
What's the point of being on the gravy train?
Oh, my word. The gravy train of 1994.
You know?
That is so awesome. Wow. Okay. So what would you say is the one lesson that your dad taught you? Or what are your fondest memory about your dad as we conclude our conversation?
I just want to remember him as somebody who just gave his life to the next person.
Yeah.
One day he came with me we were at our village house. So we live in two homes. We live between Mthatha, where we were raised, and then the village in Tabankulu, Emampondweni. And so when we go home, my parents used to take us to the village every weekend.
Very good. All kids must go to the village. I mean, the ones I live with, I just feel like they need to be in the
We
village
never understood.
for like 3 weeks,
Sunday
in a
school.
year, if not 3 months.
Sunday school by hook, by force, and the village every weekend. It is what we had to do. We had no choice in the matter. But one day he comes back from town with food. He gives my mom meat, and then so my mom is Sotho, by the way. But he
Sotho.
Mama ka ke Mosotho.
What's a Sotho?
Ke Disebo Morai.
Disebo Morake. Helang. Next
Ke Mokwena. So ke ngwana ba Kwenings, and I do switch, by the way, Penny. Wow. If I find people in an environment and there's this Xhosa Nostra thing going on, and people are intimidated, I quickly switch on and then I speak.
And you
Sotho.
become Sotho.
All right, I phone my mom.
Ha o kgona bua Sotho hobane kana ka ngwe Xhosa Nostra ina lo hatella. It's only Zulu kingdom.
You must be one with the people.
Yeah.
So going back to my dad, this particular day he says to my mom, please can you separate the meat and make sure that there's something for the people next door, because I give nama next door, So he was that kind of a leader. And
so he didn't want them to feel the aroma of the meat coming from next door. So he must share what you have so that the people next door can have.
And those are things I'll never forget as a person.
Yeah.
But I don't know how him and my mom met, because they are the same. My mom is the kind, this African tradition of mothers reaching into
their bosom.
Yes, to give you money.
Yeah.
So my mom is the type of a person who'd take out her last $10 and give it to you. And that's how they were as a couple.
Yeah.
And that's how I'll always remember my dad. His funeral was a mess because somebody was speaking from the pulpit. Next thing, rather the podium. Next thing, some old man stood up and said, and it was actually somebody from the Sotho side of the family, from my mom's side. Because my dad was, my mom is the youngest. By the way, she's the last born of 4 girls as well. Okay. But her husband, who was obviously young as well, fathered everyone in my mother's family as much as he fathered the Lwana side of the family as well.
Yeah.
This old man from Lesotho stands up and says, my daughter is a nurse, is a sister, because of this man sleeping here. And he fancy got his speech. The next thing, someone else stands up. Now I can teacher, stand up, my child. And then suddenly it's a whole, and I thought maybe they're being, unruly, disruptive.
No.
Then there was a Bishop Naba who was presiding on the funeral. Of course, he had a state funeral. It was beautiful. This guy stands up and says, no, do not distract them, because this man is speaking from his casket. We need to all ask ourselves that when we die, what will they say about us? Because this one, he's speaking as he sleeps, and we are seeing his results.
And those state funerals can be so protocol-y. Everything is so protocol. They leave the ordinary time. The police is starting at this time. The family. They leave the ordinary people out, and the ordinary people are like, "Hey, we know this person."
No, they just stood up and they started
We know
speaking.
the real person. Yes. Because once there's the church, they have their own protocol. If he's in the police, they have their own protocol, and then there's the government protocol.
Yes, and the casket must go in at 12 midday.
And then before you know it, the family and ordinary people feel left out.
You feel left out. Actually, when we did our dad's commemoration 2 years ago, I think for me, that was an opportunity to really, really even say what I couldn't say at the funeral, because we only gave one spot to Nia Pearl, who's our sister, that's an artist, and my daughter Sam. So so they rendered an item and they sang for him.
Because that program gets hectic.
It gets so hectic. It's like, oh, where are the kids? And it's like, you're being squashed.
And everybody, when they watches those funerals, and our country loves to watch, public funerals. And then when they see their families, everyone is always thinking, those people, they don't know what to do. And they don't know the pressure that people are dealing with at that particular time.
Yeah.
And literally the takeover that happens, from government, if your family is a person of influence, they literally take over.
They take over.
They take over.
You feel like it's not your...
You feel like it's not your family member. Yes. You feel like, personally, because I know protocol and I've worked with some families, I sometimes fight with pastors. Like I've MC funerals where I'm just like, really, honestly, can you just allow the family to have space?
Yes.
Recently, we were doing a funeral at a church. I won't mention which church because they'll think I'm being hard on the church. Their protocol
not where I
is
met you
so
on
rigid.
Sunday.
No, not where you met me on Sunday. No, not where you met me on Sunday. This is one of the traditional churches. Okay. They were so rigid. Like, we couldn't even read the obituary. Like, running late for 10 minutes. They made it a big deal. And I just felt like, really? Come on.
It can be frustrating.
It can be very frustrating.
Although, remember, we were burying a police general, a man of discipline.
Yes.
And it was an honor for us as a family to be offered
but he's your dad. He's your dad.
But he's my dad.
He's your
right?
dad. They must let you be.
Yeah.
He's your dad.
Yeah.
No. But I know that I see how that always turns out. It happens even in weddings. I know people's children whose parents are very successful when the parents take over, and then the guest list is like 100 people who you've never met, or you just know them as auntie so and so. They've been
there were like 50 generals, general so and so, general so and so, and Ruti Mang Mang, Reverend so and so.
It gets overwhelming. It can get overwhelming. Yeah. Okay, so as women in the city of Johannesburg, coming from different parts of the country and building our country. So as we rep, one of the conversations that me and you always have is how it's important for us to own our voices.
Of course.
Yeah. Why do you always say that to me? Sometimes I'll be like, I'm in a vow of silence. I'm not saying anything. And then I bump into you and you're like, Penny, itini lento.
Yes. I think some of us are not in the public eye like you. I'm a businesswoman, so one would like to stay away from the limelight as much as possible. But when we see a voice like you that is credible, that is consistent, a sound mind, we want to channel, certain conversations through you. I think it's important for you to continue speaking, Penny. There's always going to be space and room for your voice. You speak for many of us. And I speak, as a voice in my own space and my community. I have a sisterhood that backs me up. We speak with one voice, with our Carol, our Yolanda. It is important to also have women that give you that encouragement and support.
And you do. I appreciate it.
There's lots of conversations happening at the moment. The Transformation Fund. Do we want it? Do we not want it?
The national dialogue.
Yes, the national dialogue.
And then yesterday there was a conversation about how the unemployment statistics is 10% from the CEO of Capitec. We're like, where are the numbers?
Where are the numbers? Where's the data?
Where's the data?
Want quality data.
Because if it's 10% and we've been running with 40%, it means we've been focusing on lack instead of focusing on...
And the conversation also is, are we reporting, accurately on these issues? And I think the time has come also for corporate South Africa. So I'm double-minded about this conversation. We currently have an upliftment arrangement or partnership with Nokia South Africa, which is working extremely well for us. We're connecting. We've just connected 3 schools at Bella Bella, and we're going to be connecting communities there with the support of Nokia. Yeah. So for us, that's working quite well. However, there's many loopholes that government has seen about most corporates and how they are not complying, how they're just doing this as a tick box. And I think government
how they're not fully invested in transforming industries, how they're not invested in fully changing communities. And they actually get rebate. They get rebate and tax. What do you call it? From government where they have to do the work and they get money back for that.
Yes.
But they do it as a favor instead of doing it as getting that the tax refund and at the same time investing into communities. And
precisely.
And it's not just government on its own. It's commitment from corporate South Africa. And corporate South Africa is just not the logos of the company. It's individuals who are working on those companies, who sit on the boards, who have to make their voices heard for the transformation of the country in those communities.
Precisely.
Yeah.
But how you tap into this conversation is also quite important. These are very, sensitive conversations.
Can be volatile.
If I talk to my client that is, based in Europe or headquartered in Europe, best I be careful because, if I bring in a conversation about brakes, I need to understand where this company lays, So there's so many moving parts
or
and
BEE
so much
that Elon Musk has taken us to the White House to go defend our policies as a country.
Yeah,
But we killed that thing. We handled it. We handled it like South Africans.
We handled it with so much grace and sophistication. I mean, big up to our president. I think he did extremely well. I liked his tempo. I think he represented us quite well. Of course, my sister Zingi Salosi.
Oh, Zingi Salosi.
I loved her.
Brought it home. My God, I was so proud.
I
was so proud.
Literally texted her that very same moment.
Me too.
And said, big up, sis.
I was like,
that's what I mean about us, being the credible voices that we need out there, speaking on behalf of all of us because we are a violent nation.
When you are in the
I did sit there and cringe and think, because it's not nice to look at yourself in the mirror, but we are violent and we need to talk about it. We need to bring this conversation on the table. We need to figure out what is it that we haven't done right. Why is it persisting? Are we really looking at the boy child? Are we really, really looking at the males, sphere in South Africa? Because what actually is going on? And also, what are we feeding our girls?
Yeah, what are we feeding our girls?
We keep on seeing people on Twitter showing up with cars that are being bought by their men. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't want someone to buy me a car, please. But we need to really raise resilient young women that understand that you must work hard for yourself, fend for yourself. Because
and be self-reliant, and self-actualize, and take pride in doing things for yourself, and not looking for handouts, and not coerce and holding people ransom. Because one of the most popular things that's happening in the country is, you go to Mining Indaba like I do. Next thing you meet men who've met a girl at a local drinking spot, and then the next day they're dealing with whether they're going to pay or they're going to get arrested because the person suddenly flipped from a hangout and a date to, you have to pay me for what happened last night.
Transactional.
It's very transactional. And we need to talk about that as well as women.
We need to talk about it.
And
where are we?
It's just so sad.
What is our stance, And what are we saying to young women and what are they seeing? Because I have a feeling that they see more of this opulence, people flashing all these gifts that they
That's
get.
why I have local brands here. All these are local brands. Sunglasses, like the stuff that you can buy in South Africa that you need. You don't need to break a bank or steal money from building schools to buy them.
You don't have to sell your soul.
You don't have to sell your soul
to look good. And I think that's quite important.
So those are the chats that me and Kholeka Lwana have every now and again over a cocktail, sometimes there by Club Como.
I wish we were actually having one. But Penny doesn't like drinking.
No, guys, it's a misconception. I don't have a problem with people drinking, but I think people need to have a sober mind. I have a problem with abuse of alcohol and glamorizing alcohol.
Of course. And remember, the Bible says, and be ye not filled with wine wherein in excess.
Exactly.
What we talk about is excess. We talk about abuse of anything.
Gluttonous
has never
behavior.
been right.
It's never been like that. So I don't want people to misconstrue me because they've tried to make it like, we can't see
standing on a moral high ground.
No, I'm not standing on a moral high ground, guys. If you want to pop, please pop.
Yes.
But when it's time to show up for work and reason, you better reason.
There's a space in South Africa for a conversation around how alcohol has destroyed the black community.
It has. And we can't be in denial.
And we can't run away from that. It is the truth. So big up to you, for having the grace, and the fortitude to have that conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. It wasn't me. It came. I don't know where it came from the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. And I know where you tap in. It was lovely seeing you on Sunday.
Thank you.
We had such a beautiful time. I enjoyed, by the way, it feels like coming home, as you said, and to think that the text was coming back home.
So me and her were at church at House of Destiny. I mean, I've been going there for the last few weeks. I love churches. I'm an evangelist actually in my other life. I like discovering churches, especially just when they're about to take off. I don't know why God sends me there. That's what happens to me. Okay, we have to wrap it because I'm never going to finish.
I like that. So you also have a ministry of planting churches. I feel
and I don't. People think when you're an evangelist, you need to start a church. I don't. I've been to churches when they were just about to take off, like from Grace when they moved from Rockville to Pimville, and then they took off, and I attended. I've been to churches like Assemblies of God, sent in when they were starting, and then when they take off, it's almost like God says, "Go there." And then when it takes,
and then it explodes.
And then it explodes. And then I'm like, okay, off to the next
that's what
one.
He uses you for.
And then I've been, for example, Rivers. I went to Rivers when they were starting out. And then when it became mega, I'm like, okay.
On to the next one.
On to the next one.
Because that's your assignment.
That's my assignment.
I
It's
understand.
literally, and I'm fine with it.
I'm the resident priest. So I now know if I go to any event, I first just, touch base with my scriptures, because chances are somebody's going to say, Kholeka, pray for us.
Oh, wow. That's
awesome. And I'm just thinking around COVID, we lost so many of our loved ones.
Yeah.
I found my friends asking me all the time to host family prayers, memorial services. And I was thinking, my goodness, who am I?
Who am I?
So that's our life.
We have to stop, because we're not going to finish.
Otherwise,
but anyway, I'll see you at church.
And
I think this time I'm not moving.
We're doing the 11 o'clock.
We're staying. Yeah.
Are we doing the 8 o'clock or the 11 o'clock service? We'll see.
Have a good one.
Thank you so much. And thank you to your listeners as well.
You're welcome. Well, you can subscribe to the channel. It is Penny, PENNY, on ONN, just for emphasis. Follow me on all social media platforms. It is Penny Lebyane, Lebyane. That's how you spell my surname. Till next time.